The scene is a darkened room which the curtain reveals so stealthily that if there was a mouse on the stage, it is there still. Our object is to catch our two chief characters unawares. They are darkness and light. The room is so obscure as to be invisible, but at the back of the obscurity are French windows, through which is seen Lob's garden, bathed in moonshine. The darkness and light which this room and garden represent are very still, but we should feel that it is only the pause in which old enemies regard each other before they come to the grip. The moonshine stealing about among the flowers to give them their last instructions has left a smile upon them, but it is a smile with menace in it for the dwellers in the darkness. What we expect to see next is the moonshine slowly pushing the windows open so that it may whisper to a confederate in the house whose name is Lob. But though we may be sure that this was about to happen, it does not happen. A stir among the dwellers in darkness prevents it. These unsuspecting ones are in the dining room, and, as a communicating door opens, we hear them at play. Several tenebrious shades appear in the lighted doorway and hesitate on the two steps that lead down into the unlit room. The fanciful among us may conceive a rustle at the same moment among the flowers. The engagement has begun, though not in the way we had intended.
Go on, Cody, lead the way.
Oh dear, I don't see why I should go first.
The nicest always goes first.
It is a strange house if I am the nicest.
It is a strange house.
Now don't close the door, I can't see where the switch is.
Over here.
They have been groping their way forward, blissfully unaware of how they shall be groping there more terribly before the night is out. Someone finds a switch, and the room is illumined, with the effect that the garden seems to have drawn back a step, as if worsted in the first encounter. But it is only waiting. The apparently inoffensive chamber thus suddenly revealed is, for a bachelor's home, creditably like a charming country house drawing room, and abounds in the little feminine touches that are so often best applied by the hand of man. There is nothing in the room inimical to the ladies, unless it be the cut flowers, which are from the garden, and possibly in collusion with it. There are 5 ladies, and only one of them is elderly, the Mrs. Code, whom a voice in the darkness has already proclaimed the nicest. She is the nicest, though the voice was no good judge. Cody, as she is familiarly called, and as her husband also is called, each having for many years been able to answer for the other, is an old lady with a beaming smile that has accompanied her from childhood. If she lives to be 100, she will pretend to the census man that she is only 99. She has no other vice that has not been smoothed out of existence by her placid life, and she has but one complaint against the male Cody, the rather odd one that he has long forgotten his first wife. Our Mrs. Cody never knew the first one, but it is she alone who sometimes looks at the portrait of her, and preserves in their home certain mementos of her, such as a lock of brown hair, which the equally gentle male Cody must have treasured once, but now has forgotten. The first wife having been slightly lame, and in their brief married life, he had carried solicitously a rest for her foot, had got so accustomed to doing this that, after a quarter of a century with our Mrs. Cody, he still finds footstools for her as if she were lame also. She has ceased to pucker her face over this, taking it as a kind little thoughtless attention, and indeed, with the years, has developed a friendly limp. Of the other 4 ladies, all young and physically fair, 2 are married. Mrs. Dearth is tall, of smouldering eye and fierce desires. Murky beasts lie in ambush in the labyrinths of her mind. She is a paradox with a husky voice, most beautiful when she is sullen, and therefore frequently at her best. The other ladies, when in conclave, refer to her as the Dearth. Mrs. Purdy is a safer companion for the toddling kind of man. She is soft and pleading, and would seek what she wants by laying her head on the loved one's shoulder, while the Dearth might attain it with a pistol. A brighter spirit than either is Joanna Trout, who, when her affections are not engaged, has a merry face and figure, but can dismiss them both at the important moment, which is at the word love. Then Joanna quivers, her sense of humour ceases to beat, and the dullest man may go ahead. There remains Lady Caroline Laney of the disdainful poise, lately from the enormously select school where they are taught to pronounce their R's as W's. Nothing else seems to be taught, but for matrimonial success, nothing else is necessary. Every woman who pronounces R as W will find a mate. It appeals to all that is chivalrous in man. And old-fashioned gallantry induces us to accept from each of these ladies her own estimate of herself. Unfortunately, it is favourable in every case. This refers to their estimate of themselves up to the hour of 10 on the evening on which we first meet them. The estimate may have changed temporarily by the time we part from them on the following morning. What their mirrors say to each of them is, a dear face, not classically perfect, but abounding in that changing charm which is the best type of womanhood. Here is a woman who has seen and felt far more than her reticent nature readily betrays. She sometimes smiles, but behind that concession, controlling it in a manner hardly less than adorable, lurks the sigh called knowledge. A strangely interesting face, mysterious. A line for her tombstone might be, if I had been a man, what adventures I could have had with her who lies here. Are these ladies then so very alike? They would all deny it, so we must take our own soundings. At this moment of their appearance in the drawing-room at least, they are alike in having a common interest. No sooner has the dining-room door closed than purpose leaps to their eyes. Oddly enough, the men having been got rid of, the drama begins.
Now, we must not waste a second. Our minds are made up, I think.
Now is the time.
Yes, now, if at all, but should we?
Certainly. And before the men come in.
You don't think we should wait for the men? They are as much in it as we are.
Oh, Lob will be with them. If the thing is to be done at all, it should be done now.
Well, is it quite fair to Lob? After all, he is our host.
Of course it isn't fair to him. But let's do it, Cody.
Oh, yes, let's.
Death is doing it.
Of course I am. The men are not coming, are they?
No, your husband is having another glass of port.
Oh, oh yes, I'm sure he is. One of you, ring, please.
Poor matey.
He richly deserves what he is about to get.
He's coming. Don't all stand huddled together like conspirators.
Well, it is what we are.
Swiftly they find seats, and are sunk thereon like ladies waiting languidly for their lords when the doomed butler appears. He is a tall man who could cast any one of them forth for a wager, but we are about to connive at the triumph of mind over matter.
Ah, matey, I wish this telegram sent.
Very good, ma'am. The village post office closed today, but if your message is important...
It is. And you are so clever, matey. I'm sure you can persuade them to oblige you.
Oh, I will see to it myself, ma'am. You can depend on its going.
Oh, thank you. Better read the telegram, matey, just to be sure you can make it out. Read it aloud, matey.
Oh, ma'am.
Aloud.
To Police Station Great Comney. Send officer first thing tomorrow morning to arrest matey butler for theft of rings.
Yes, that is quite right.
Ma'am, my lady.
Should we not say how many rings?
Yes, matey, do put in the number of rings.
Matey does not put in the number, but he produces 3 rings from unostentatious parts of his person and returns them, without noticeable dignity, to their various owners.
May I tear up the telegram, ma'am?
Certainly not.
I always said this man was the culprit. I'm never mistaken in faces, and I can see broad arrows all over yours, matey.
He might reply that he sees W's all over hers, but it is no moment for repartee.
It is deeply regretted.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
We may as well tell him now that it is not our rings that we are worrying about. They've just been a means to an end, matey.
Precisely. In other words, this telegram is sent. Unless
you can tell us instantly what peculiarity it is that we all have in common.
Not only the ladies, all the guests in this house.
Yes. You see, we've been here a week, and we find that when Lob invited us, he knew us all so little that we begin to wonder why he asked us. And now, from little words he's let drop here and there, we gather that he invited us here because of something that he thinks we all have in common.
But he won't say what it is.
And one knows no people could be more unlike.
One does.
And we really can't sleep, matey, for wondering what this something is.
But we are sure you know, and if you don't tell us, jail.
I don't know what you mean, ladies.
Oh, yes, you do.
And you must admit your master is a rather strange person.
He is a little odd, ma'am. That is why everyone calls him Lob, and not Mr. Lob.
He is so odd that it's got on my last nerves that we have been invited here for some sort of horrid experiment. You look as though you thought so too.
Oh, no, miss, You shouldn't have come. Ladies, you did not have come.
Now, my man, what do you mean by that?
Oh, nothing, my lady. I just mean, why did you come if you're the kind he thinks?
The kind he thinks?
What kind does he think? Now we're getting at it.
I haven't a notion, ma'am.
Then it is not necessarily our virtue that makes Lob so interested in us.
No, my lady. Oh, no, my lady. Oh.
Well, you know, he really is rather lovable.
Oh, he is, ma'am. He is the most lovable of devil. Oh, I beg pardon, ma'am.
You scarcely need to, for in a way it is true. I have seen him out there among his flowers, petting them, talking to them, coaxing them till they simply had to grow.
It is certainly a divine garden.
It's so beautiful in the moonlight. Roses, roses all the way. It is like a hat I once had when I was young.
Oh, well, Lob is such an amazing gardener. I'm sure he could even grow hats.
He is a wonderful gardener, but is that quite nice at his age? What is his age, man?
Oh, he won't tell, my lady. I think he's frightened that the police would step in if they knew how old he is. They do say in the village that they remember him 70 years ago, looking just as he does today.
Third.
Yes, ma'am. But there are his razors.
Razors?
You won't know about razors, my lady, not being married as yet. Excuse me. But a married lady can tell a man's age by the number of his razors. If you saw his razors, well, there's a little world of them, from patents of the present day back to implements so horrible. You can picture him with them in his hand, scraping his way through the ages.
You amuse one to an extent. Was he ever married?
Oh, he is quite forgotten, my lady. How long ago is it since Mary out England?
Why do you ask?
In Queen Elizabeth's time, wasn't it?
He says he is all that is left of Mary out England.
Wasn't there a Lob in Shakespeare? Oh, no, of course, that's Robin Goodfellow.
The names are so alike.
Robin Goodfellow was Puck.
Oh, that's what was in my head. Lob is another name for Puck.
Well, he is certainly rather like what Puck might have grown into if he had forgotten to die. And by the way, I remember now he does call his flowers by the old Elizabethan names.
He always calls the nightingale Philomel, miss, if that's any help.
None whatever. But tell me, did he specially ask us all here for Midsummer week?
He would.
Now what do you mean?
He always likes them to be here on Midsummer night, ma'am.
What, them? Whom?
Them who have that in common.
What can it be?
I don't know.
I hope we are all nice women. We don't know each other very well. Does anything startling happen in those times?
I don't know.
Why, I believe this is Midsummer Eve.
Oh, yes, miss, it is. The villagers know it. They are all inside their houses tonight with the doors barred.
Because of him.
He frightens them. All stories.
What alarms them? Tell us, or...
I know nothing for certain, ma'am. I've never done it myself. He has wanted me to, but I wouldn't.
Done what?
Oh, ma'am, don't ask me. Be merciful to me, ma'am. I'm not bad, naturally. It was just going into domestic service that did it for me. Oh, the accident of being flung among bad companions. Oh, it's touch and go how the Paul turn out in this world. It all depends on your taking the right or wrong turning.
Well, I imagine that is so.
When I was young, ma'am, I was offered a clerkship in the city. If I had taken it, there wouldn't be a more honest man alive today. I would give the world to be able to begin over again.
He means every word of it, though the flowers would here, if they dared, burst into ironical applause.
It really is rather sad, Mrs. Durf.
I am sorry for him, but still.
What do you say, my lady?
Or as you ask me, I shall certainly say jail.
If you will say no more about this, ma'am, I will give you a tip that is worth it.
Ah, now you're talking.
Oh, don't listen to him.
You're the one that's hardest on me.
Yes, I flatter myself I am.
You might take a wrong turning yourself, my lady.
I? How dare you, man?
But the flowers rather like him for this. It is possibly what gave them a certain idea.
The men are rising.
Very well, matey, we agree, if the tip is good enough.
Oh, you will regret this.
Think not, my lady. It's this. I wouldn't go out tonight if you ask you. Go into the garden if you like. The garden is all right. I wouldn't go farther. Not tonight.
But he never asks us to go farther. Why should he tonight?
I don't know, ma'am. But don't any of you go. Except you, my lady. I should like you to go.
Right, ladies, shall I?
Thank you, ma'am.
You should have sent the telegram off.
You are sure you have told us all you know, matey?
Yes, miss. Above all, ladies, I wouldn't go into the wood.
The wood? Why, there is no wood within a dozen miles of here.
No, ma'am. But all the same, I wouldn't go into it, ladies. Not if I was you.
With this cryptic warning, he leaves them, and any discussion of it is prevented by the arrival of their host. Lob is very impish. To such as watch him narrowly, as the ladies now do for the first time, he has the effect of seeming to be hollow, an attenuated piece of piping insufficiently inflated, One feels that if he were to strike against a solid object, he might rebound feebly from it, which would be less disconcerting if he did not obviously know this and carefully avoid the furniture. He is so flimsy that the subject must not be mentioned in his presence, but it is possible that, were the ladies to combine, they could blow him out of a chair. He enters portentously, his hands behind his back, as if every bit of him, from his domed head to his flat feet, were the physical expressions of the deep thoughts within him. Then suddenly he whirls round to make his guests jump. This amuses him vastly, and he regains his gravity with difficulty. He addresses Mrs. Code.
Standing, dear lady? Pray be seated.
He finds a chair for her and pulls it away as she is about to sit, or kindly pretends to be about to do so, for he has had this quaint conceit every evening since she arrived.
You naughty.
It is quite a flirtation, isn't it?
Lob rolls on his chair, throwing out his arms in an ecstasy of satisfaction. But the ladies are not certain that he is the little innocent they have hitherto thought him. The advent of Mr. Code and Mr. Purdy presently adds to their misgivings. Mr. Code is old, a sweet pippin of a man with a gentle smile for all. He must have suffered much, you conclude incorrectly, to acquire that tolerant smile. Sometimes, as when he sees other people at work, a wistful look takes the place of the smile, and Mr. Code fidgets like one who would be elsewhere. Then there rises before his eyes the room called the study in his house, whose walls are lined with boxes marked A, B, C to Z, and A2, B2, C2 to K2. These contain dusty notes for his great work on the feudal system. The notes many years old, the work, strictly speaking, not yet begun. He still speaks at times of finishing it, but never of beginning it. He knows that in more favourable circumstances, for instance, if he had been a poor man instead of pleasantly well-to-do, he could have flung himself avidly into that noble undertaking, but he does not allow his secret sorrow to embitter him or darken the house. Quickly the vision passes, and he is again his bright self. Idleness, he says in his game way, has its recompenses. It is charming now to see how he at once crosses to his wife, solicitous for her comfort. He is bearing down on her with a footstool when Mr. Purdy comes from the dining room. He is the most brilliant of our company, recently noticeable at debate at Oxford, where he was runner-up for the presidentship of the Union and only lost it because the other man was less brilliant. Since then, he has gone to the bar on Monday, married on Tuesday, and had a brief on Wednesday. Beneath his brilliance and making charming company for himself, he is aware of intellectual powers beyond his years. As we are about to see, he has made one mistake in his life, which he is bravely facing.
Is my husband still sampling the port, Mr. Purdy?
Do you know, I believe he is. Do the ladies like our proposal, Code?
I have not told them of it yet. The fact is, I am afraid it might tire my wife too much. Do you feel equal to a little exertion tonight, Cody, or is your foot still troubling you?
I have been resting it, Cody.
Yeah. Is that more comfortable? Presently, dear, if you are agreeable, we are all going for a walk.
The garden is all right.
Ah, but it is not to be the garden. We are going farther afield. We have an adventure for tonight. Get thick shoes and a wrap, Mrs. Death. All of you.
And where do you propose to take us?
Who find a mysterious wood.
With the word wood, the ladies are blown upright. Their eyes turn to Lob, who, however, has never looked more innocent.
Are you being funny, Mr. Purdy? You know quite well that there are not any trees for miles around. You have said yourself this is the one blot on the landscape.
On ordinary occasions, but allow us to point out to you, Miss Joanna, that this is Midsummer Eve.
Tell them what you told us, Lob.
It is all nonsense, of course. Just foolish talk of the villagers. They say that on Midsummer Eve there is a strange wood in this part of the country.
Where?
Ah, that is one of its most charming features. It is never twice in the same place, apparently. It has been seen on different parts of the Downs and on Moor Common. Once it was close to Radley village, and another time about a mile from the sea. Oh, a sporting wood.
Lob is anxious that we should all go and look for it.
Oh, not he. Lob is the only skeptic in the house, says it is all rubbish, and that we shall be sillies if we go. But we believe, eh, Bertie?
Rather.
Just wasting the evening. Let us have a round game at cards here instead.
No, sir. I am going to find that wood.
What is the good of it when it is found?
We shall wander in it deliciously, listening to a new sort of bird called the philomel.
Lob is behaving in the most exemplary manner, making sweet little clucking sounds.
Shall we keep together, Mr. Purdy?
No, we must hunt in pairs.
I think it would be rather fun. Come on, Cody, I'll lace your boots for you. I am sure your poor foot will carry you nicely.
Miss Trout, wait a moment. Lob, has this wood any special properties?
Oh, pooh! There is no wood.
You've never seen it?
Not I. I don't believe in it.
Have any of the villagers ever been in it?
So it's said, so it's said.
And what would they say with their experiences?
That isn't known. They never came back.
Never came back?
Absurd, of course. You see, in the morning the wood was gone, and so they were gone too.
I don't think I like this wood.
It certainly is Midsummer Eve.
Well, of course, if you ladies are against it, we will drop the idea. It was only a bit of fun.
Yes, better give it up. To please, Lob.
All right, Lob. What about that round game of cards?
I wanted you to go. I had set my heart on your going. It is the thing I wanted, and it isn't good for me not to get the thing I want.
He creeps under the table and threatens the hands that would draw him out.
Gracious, he's wanted it all along. You wicked Lob.
Yes, now, you see there is something in it.
Nonsense, Mrs. Death. It was only a joke.
Don't cry, Lobby.
Nobody cares for me. Nobody loves me. And I need to be loved.
Yes, we do. We all love you. Nice Lobby.
Dear Lob, I am so fond of you.
Oh, dry his eyes with my own handkerchief.
Don't pamper him.
I need to be pampered.
You funny, peculiar man. Well, let us go at once and look for his wood.
Boots and cloaks, hats forward. Come on, Lady Caroline, just to show you're not afraid of matey.
There is a general exodus, and Lob, left alone, emerges from his temporary retirement. He ducks victoriously, but presently is on his knees again, distressfully regarding some flowers that have fallen from their bowl.
Oh, poor bruised one. It was I who hurt you. Lob is so sorry. Lie there. Oh, pretty. Let me see where you have a pain. You fell on your head? Oh, is this the place? Oh, now I make it better. Oh, you little rascal. You are not hurt at all. You just pretend. Drink. Yes, now you are happy. You love Lob, and Lob loves you.
What are you saying to them?
I was saying 2's company and 3 is none.
He departs with a final cluck.
That man, he suspects.
This is a very different Joanna from the one who has so far flitted across our scene. It is also a different Mr. Purdy. In company they seldom look at each other, though when the one does, so the eyes of the other magnetically respond. We have seen them trivial, almost cynical, but now we are to greet them as they know they really are, the great, strong-hearted man and his natural mate in the grip of the master passion. For the moment, Lob's words have unnerved Joanna, and it is John Purdy's dear privilege to soothe her.
No one minds Lob. My dear, oh, my dear.
Yes, but he saw you kiss my hand, Jack. If Mabel were to suspect...
There's nothing for her to suspect.
No, there isn't, is there? Jack, I'm not doing anything wrong, am I?
You?
Mabel is your wife, Jack. I should so hate myself if I did anything that was disloyal to her.
Those eyes could never be disloyal, my lady of the sky blue eyes. Oh, the svelteness of you. Joanna, why are you so svelte?
For his sake she would be less svelte if she could, but she can't.
All I want is to help her and you.
I know, well I know, my dear, brave love.
I'm very fond of Mabel, Jack. I should like to be the best friend that she has in the world.
You are, dearest. No woman ever had a better friend.
And yet I don't think she really likes me. I wonder why.
It's just that Mabel doesn't understand. Nothing could make me say a word against my wife.
I wouldn't listen to you if you did.
I love you all the more, dear, for saying that. But Mabel is a cold nature and she doesn't understand.
She doesn't appreciate your finer qualities.
That's it. Well, of course I am difficult. I always was a strange creature. I often think, Joanna, that I'm rather like a flower that has never had the sun to shine on it, or rain to water it.
You break my heart.
Suppose there is no more lonely man than I walking the earth today.
Oh, it is so mournful.
It is the thought of you that sustains me, elevates me. You shine high above me like a star.
Oh, no, I wish I was as wonderful, but I am not.
You have made me a better man, Joanna.
I am so proud to think that.
You have made me kinder to Mabel.
I am sure you're always kind to her.
Yes, I hope so, but now I think now of special little ways of giving her pleasure. That never-to-be-forgotten day when we first met, you and I.
Oh, that tragic, lovely day by the river.
Do you know how in gratitude I spent the rest of that day?
Tell me.
I read to Mabel, aloud, for an hour. I did it out of kindness to her because I had met you.
It was dear of you.
Do you remember that first time my arms... Oh, your waist. You are so fluid, Joanna. Why so fluid?
I can't help it, Jack.
You're a ruby bracelet for that.
It was a gem. You've given that lucky woman many things.
It's my invariable custom to go straight off and buy Mabel something whenever you have been sympathetic to me. Those new earrings of hers, they are a memory of the first time you called me Jack. Her paquet gown, the one with the beads, it's because you let me kiss you.
Jack, she hasn't worn the gown of late.
No, nor the jewels. I think she has some sort of idea now that when I give her anything nice, it means that you have been nice to me. She has rather a suspicious nature, Mabel. She never used to have it, but it seems to be growing on her. I wonder why.
In this wonder, which is shared by Joanna, their lips almost meet, and Mabel, who has been about to enter from the garden, quietly retires.
Was that someone in the garden?
There is no one there now.
I am sure I heard someone. Oh, if it was Mabel. Jack, if she saw us, she would think that you were trying to kiss me.
These fears are confirmed by the rather odd bearing of Mabel, who now joins their select party.
I am so sorry to interrupt you, Jack, but please wait a moment before you try to kiss her again. Excuse me, Joanna.
Mabel quietly draws the curtains, thus shutting out the garden and any possible onlooker.
I did not want the others to see you. They might not understand how noble you are, Jack. You can go on now.
Having thus passed the time of day with them, Mabel withdraws by the door, leaving Jack bewildered and Joanna knowing all about it.
How extraordinary! Of all the... Oh, but how contemptible! Mabel!
did you call me, Joanna?
I insist on an explanation. What were you doing in the garden, Mabel?
I was looking for something I had lost.
Anything important?
I used to fancy it, Jack. It is my husband's love. You don't happen to have picked it up, Joanna. If so, and you don't set great store by it, I think I should like it back. The pieces, I mean.
Mabel, I will not be talked to in this way. To imply that your husband... Oh, shame!
I must say, Mabel, that I am a little disappointed in you. I certainly understood that you had gone upstairs to put on your boots.
Oh, poor old Jack. A woman like that.
I forgive you, Mabel. You will be sorry for this afterwards.
A word against Joanna, Mabel. If you knew how nobly she has spoken of you.
She does know. She's been listening.
There is a moment's danger of the scene degenerating into something mid-Victorian. Fortunately, a chivalrous man is present to lift it to a higher plane. John Purdy is one to whom subterfuge of any kind is abhorrent. If he had not spoken out before, it is because of his reluctance to give Mabel pain. He speaks out now, and seldom, probably, has he proved himself more worthy.
This is a man's business. I must be open with you now, Mabel. It is the manly way. If you wish it, I shall always be true to you in word and deed. It is your right. But I cannot pretend that Joanna is not the one woman in the world for me. If I had met her before you... Kismet, I suppose.
I suppose you never knew what true love was till you met her, Jack?
You force me to say it. Joanna and I are as one person. We have not a thought at variance. We are one rather than two.
Yes, and that's the one. I am so sorry to have marred your lives.
If any blame there is, it is all mine. She is as spotless as the driven snow. The moment I mentioned love to her, she told me to desist.
Not she.
So you were listening. Mabel, don't you see how splendid he is?
Not quite, Joanna.
Mabel goes away. She is really a better woman than this, but never capable of scaling that higher plane to which he has, as it were, offered her a hand.
How lovely of you, Jack, to take it all upon yourself.
It is the man's privilege.
Mabel has such a hard way of seeming to put people in the wrong.
You noticed that? Poor Mabel. It is not an enviable quality.
I don't think I care to go out now. She has spoilt it all. She's taken the innocence out of it, Jack.
We must be brave and not mind her. Oh, Joanna, if only we had met in time. If only I could begin again. To be battered forever just because I once took the wrong turning, it isn't fair.
The wrong turning? Now, who was saying that a moment ago? About himself? Why, it was Matey.
A footstep is heard.
Is that her coming back again?
But the intruder is Mrs. Dirth, and Jack greets her with relief.
Ah, it is you, Mrs. Dirth.
Yes, it is, but thank you for telling me, Mr. Purdy. I don't intrude, do I?
Why should you?
Rather not. We were hoping it would be you. We want to start on the walk. I can't think what has become of the others. We've been looking for them everywhere.
Jack glances vaguely round the room, as if they might so far have escaped detection.
Yes, well, do go on looking. Under that flower pot might be a good place. You see, it is my husband I am in search of.
Shall I rout him out for you?
Oh, that would be too unutterably kind of you, Mr. Purdy. I do hate to trouble you, but it would be the sort of service one never forgets.
You know, I believe you are teasing me.
No, I am incapable of that.
I won't be a moment.
Miss Trout and I will await your return with ill-concealed impatience.
They await it across a table, the newcomer in a reverie, and Joanna watching her. Presently Alice Dirth looks up, and we may notice that she has an attractive screw of the mouth, which denotes humour.
Yes, I suppose you're right. I dare say I am.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, no, I thought I heard you say that hateful Dirth woman poking her nose in where it doesn't belong.
You certainly have good ears.
Ah, yes. They have always been rather admired.
By the painters for whom you sat for when you were an artist model?
So that has leaked out, has it?
I shouldn't have said that.
Do you think I care whether you know or not?
I'm sure you don't. Still, it was catty of me.
Yes, it was.
I don't see it.
Alice laughs and forgets her, and with the entrance of a man from the dining room, Joanna drifts elsewhere. Not so much a man, this newcomer, as the relic of what had been a good one. It is the most he would claim for himself. Sometimes, brandy in hand, he has visions of the willed earth he used to be, clear of eye, sees him but a field away, singing at his easel, or, fishing rod in hand, leaping a stile. Our Will stares after the fellow for quite a long time, so long that the two melt into the one who has finished Lob's brandy. He is scarcely intoxicated as he appears before the lady of his choice, but he is shaky and has watery eyes. Alice has had a rather wild love for this man, or for that other one, and he for her, but somehow it has gone whistling down the wind. We may expect, therefore, to see them at their worst when in each other's company.
I'm uncommonly flattered, Alice, that you sent for me. Quite takes me aback.
It isn't your company I want, Will.
You know, I felt that Purdy must have delivered your message wrongly.
I want you to come with us on this mysterious walk and keep an eye on Lob.
On poor Lob? Oh, surely not.
I can't make the man out. I want you to tell me something. When he invited us here, was it you or me that he specially wanted?
Oh, you. He made no bones about it, said there was something about you that made him want uncommonly to have you down here.
Will, try to remember this. Did he want us here specifically for Midsummer Week?
Yes, he was particular about it being Midsummer Week.
I thought so. Did he say what it was about me that made him want to have us here during Midsummer Week?
No, but I presumed it must be your fascination, Alice.
Just so. Well, I want you to come with us tonight and watch him.
Well, crack in my eye, Tommy. Spy on my host? And such a harmless chap, too. Excuse me, Alice. Besides, I have an engagement.
An engagement? With the port decanter, I presume?
Good yes, but wrong. Now, the decanter is now but an empty shell.
Mm.
Still, how you know me? My engagement is with a quiet cigar in the garden.
Your hand is so unsteady, you won't be able to light the match.
I shall just manage.
Nice hand for an artist.
One would scarcely call me an artist nowadays.
Not so far as any work is concerned, no.
Not so far as having any more pretty dreams to paint is concerned. Wonder why I've become such a waster, Alice?
I suppose it was always in you.
I suppose so.
Mm.
And yet I was a rather good sort in the days when I was courting you.
Yes. Yes, I thought so. But unlucky days for me, as it turned out.
Yes, a bad job for you. I didn't know I was a Roman at the time. Thought quite well of myself. Thought a vast deal more of you. Crack in my eye, Tommy, how I used to leap out of bed at 6 a.m. all agog to be at my easel. Blood ran through my veins in those days. Now I'm middle-aged and done for. Funny, I don't know how it's come about, nor has what made the music mute. When did you begin to despise me, Alice?
When I got to know you, really, Will. A long time ago.
Well, yes, I think that is true. It was a long time ago. And before I had begun to despise myself. It wasn't until I knew you had no opinion of me that I began to go downhill. You will grant that, won't you? And that I did try to fight on for a bit? Now, if you had cared for me, it wouldn't have come to this, surely.
Well, I found I didn't care for you. And I was not hypocrite enough to pretend I did. That might be blunt, but You used to admire my bluntness.
Oh, the bluntness of you. The adorable wildness of you. You untamed thing. There were never any shades in you, Alice. Kiss or kill, that was your motto. No, I felt from the first moment I saw you that you would love me or knife me.
Well, I didn't knife you.
No, I suppose that's where you made the mistake. It is hard on you, old lady. I suppose it's too late to try to patch things up.
Let's be honest, Will. It is
Perhaps
too
if we
late.
had children. Pity.
A blessing, I should think, considering what sort of father they would have had.
I dare say you're right. Well, I know, Alice, that somehow it's all my fault. I feel very sorry for you.
I feel sorry for myself. If I hadn't married you, what a different woman I should be. What a fool I was.
Three things they say, come back not to men nor women. The spoken word, the past life, and the neglected opportunity. I wonder if we should make any more of them, Alice, if they did come back to us.
You wouldn't.
I guess you're right.
But I...
Yes, what a boon for you, right? But I hope it's not Freddie Finch Fallow you would put in my place. I know he's following you about again.
He followed me about, as you put it, before I knew you. I don't know why I quarreled with him.
Well, your heart told you that he was no good, Alice.
My heart told me that you were. So it wasn't much service to me, my heart.
The Honourable Freddie Finch Fallow is a rotter.
Well, you certainly are an authority on the subject.
You have me there.
After this brief but pleasant little connubial chat, he pursued his dishonoured way into the garden. He is, however, prevented from doing so at the moment by the return of the others. They crowd in through the door, chattering.
Here they are. Are you ready, dear ladies?
Are you not coming with us to find the wood, Mr. Dirth?
Alas, I am unavoidably detained. You will find me in the garden when you come back.
If we ever do come back.
Precisely. Should we never meet again, Alice? Fare thee well. Purdy, if you find the tree of knowledge in the wood, bring me back an apple.
Promise.
Come quickly. Matey mustn't see me.
Matey? What difference would that make, Lob?
He would take me off to bed. It's past my time.
You know, old fellow, you are making it very difficult for us to embark upon this eerie adventure in the proper eerie spirit.
Well, I'm for the garden.
Will walks to the window, and the others are going out by the door. But they do not go. There is a hitch somewhere, at the window, apparently, for Will Dirth, having begun to draw the curtains apart, lets them fall like one who has had a shock. The others remember long afterwards his grave face as he came quietly back and put his cigar on the table.
How now, Dirth?
What is it we get in that wood, Lob?
He won't tell us that.
Come on.
No, tell us first.
They say that in the wood you get what nearly everybody here is longing for. A second chance.
So that's what we all have in common.
I have often thought, Cody, that if I should have a second chance, I would like to be a useful man instead of just a nice old lazy one.
A second chance.
Come on!
Yes, to the wood, to the wood.
Stop. Why not go this way?
Will pulls the curtains apart, and there comes a sudden indrawing of breath from all, for no garden is there now. In its place is an endless wood of great trees. The nearest of them has come close to the window. It is a sombre wood, with splashes of moonshine and of blackness standing very still in it. The party in the drawing room are very still also. There is scarcely a cry or a movement. It is perhaps strange that the most obviously frightened is Lob, who calls vainly for Matey. The first articulate voice is Mr. Dirth's.
Anyone ready to risk it?
Of course, there is nothing in it, just...
Of course. Going out, Purdy?
A second chance.
Alice is looking at her husband. They all look at Will, as if he had been a leader once.
I shall be back in a moment. Probably.
As Will passes into the wood, his hands rise as if a hammer had tapped him on the forehead. He is soon lost to view.
He does not come back.
It's horrible.
Mrs. Coade seals off by the door to her room, calling to her husband to do likewise. He takes a step after her and stops in the grip of two words, second chance, that holds them all. The stillness continues. At last, Mrs. Purdy goes out into the wood, her hands raised, and is swallowed up by it.
People...
You will have to go now, Mr. Purdy.
Jack looks at Joanna, and they go out together, one tap of the hammer for each.
That's enough! Don't you go, Mrs. Death. You'll catch it if you go.
Second chance.
One would like to know.
They both go out. Mrs. Coade's voice is heard from the stair calling to her husband.
Cody!
He hesitates, but follows Lady Caroline. To Lob, now alone, comes Matey with the tray of coffee cups.
It's past your bedtime, sir. Say good night to the ladies and come along.
Matey, look!
Great heavens! Well, then it's true.
Yes, but I wasn't sure.
Matey approaches the window cautiously to peer out, and his master gives him a sudden push that propels him into the wood. Lob stands alone, staring out upon the unknown. He is terrified still, yet quivers of rapture are running up and down his frame. We are translated to the depths of the wood in the enchantment of a moonlit night. In some other glade a nightingale is singing. In this one, in proud motoring attire, recline two mortals whom we have known in different conditions. The second chance has converted them into husband and wife. The man lies luxurious on his back, exuding affluence. A hat over his face conceals from us what hero he may be, but his mate is our Lady Caroline. The nightingale trills on, and Lady Caroline takes up its song.
Is it not a lovely night, Jim? Listen, my own, to Philomel. He's saying lately that he was married, and so are we, you ducky thing. I do feel, Jim, that I am Rosalind and you are my Orlando.
What did you say I am, Caroline?
Oh, my own. Wouldn't it be fun if we were to write poems about each other and pin them on the tree trunks?
Poems? I never knew such a lass for high-flown language.
Your last, dearest, Jim's last.
And don't you forget it.
Oh, and what would you do if I were to forget it great bad?
Take a stick to you.
Oh, I love to hear you talk like that. It's so virile. I always knew that it was a husband that I needed.
It's what you all need.
It is, you knowing wretch.
Listen, Caroline. That is what gets the ladies.
Ooh, and how much have you made this week, you wonderful man?
Another 200 or so. But that's all. Just 200 or so.
My dear golden fetter, listen to him. Kiss my golden fetter, Jim.
Wait till I light this cigar. Tidy-looking petite Corona, this. There was a time when one of that sort would have run away with 2 days of my screw.
How I would have loved to have known you, Jim, when you were poor. Fancy your having once been a clock.
We all have our beginnings. But it wouldn't have mattered how I began, Caroline. I should have come to the top just the same. I'm a climber, and there are nails in my boots for the bodies beneath me. Boots. I tell you, if I had been a bootmaker, I should have been the first bootmaker in London.
I'm sure you would, Jim. Would you have made the best boots?
Very good, Caroline. Well, that's the nearest thing I've heard you say. But it's late. We'd best be strolling back to our Rolls Royce.
Oh, I do hope the ground isn't damp.
Don't matter if it was. Relying on your rug.
Joanna reaches the glade, now an unhappy lady who has got what she wanted. She is in country dress and is as unknown to them as they are to her. Who is the mournful party?
I wonder, sir, have you seen my husband? I've lost him in the wood.
We are strangers in these parts ourselves, Mrs. Have we passed anyone, Caroline?
Should we have noticed, dear? Might it be that old gent over there? Oh, no. My husband is quite young.
The woodlander referred to is Mr. Code in gala costume. At his mouth, a whistle he has made him from some friendly twig. To its ravishing music, he is seen pirouetting charmingly among the trees, his new occupation.
Seems like a merry old cock. Evening to you, sir. Do you happen to have seen a young gentleman in the wood lately? He's all by himself and looking for his wife.
Can't say that I have.
He isn't necessarily by himself, and I don't know whether he's looking for me. He may be with a young lady.
Oh, if you like that better.
What is that supposed to mean?
Now, your manners, Caroline.
Would he be singing or dancing?
Oh, no. At least I hope not.
Hope not. Odd. Well, if he is doing neither, I am not likely to notice him, but if I do, what name shall I say?
I'm Purdy. Mrs. Purdy.
Well, I'll try to keep a lookout, and if I do, but I am rather occupied at the time.
I'm sorry to have troubled you. I think I see him now.
Oh, is he alone? Ah, I can see from your face that he isn't.
Caroline, no awkward questions. Evening, missus, and I hope you will get him to go along with you quietly. What's it called your dancing, huh?
Light-hearted as children, they dance after him, while Joanna, behind a tree, awaits her lord. Mr. Purdy, in knickerbockers, approaches with misgivings to make sure that his Joanna is not in hiding. Then he gambols joyously with a charming confection, whose name is Mabel. They chase each other from tree to tree, but fortunately not round Joanna's tree.
No, and no. I don't know you nearly well enough for that. Besides, what would your wife say? I shall begin to think you are a very dreadful man, Mr. Kirkby.
Surely you might call me Jack by this time.
Perhaps if you are very good, Jack.
Oh, if only Joanna were like you.
Like me? You mean her face? It is a... Well, if it is not precisely pretty, it is a good face. I don't mind her face at all. I am glad you've got such a dependable little wife, Jack.
Thanks.
What would Joanna have said if she had seen you just now?
A wife should be incapable of jealousy.
Joanna jealous? But has she any reason? Jack, tell me, who's the woman?
Shall I, Mabel? Shall I?
I can't think who it would be. Have I ever seen her?
Every time you look in a mirror.
How odd, Jack. That can't be. When I look in a mirror, I see only myself.
How adorably innocent you are, Mabel. Joanna would have guessed at once.
Not that.
Shall I tell you now?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Jack, try not to say it. But if you must, say it in a way that wouldn't hurt the feelings of Joanna if she happened to be passing by, as she nearly always is.
I would rather not say it at all than that way. I don't know, Mabel, whether you have noticed. I am not like other men. All my life I've been a soul that has had to walk alone. Even as a child, I had no hope that it might be otherwise. I distinctly remember when I was 6, thinking how unlike other children I was. Before I was 12, I suffered from terrible self-depreciation. I do so still. I think there was never a man who had so lowly an opinion of himself.
Jack, you are so universally admired.
It doesn't help. I remain my own judge. I'm afraid I am a dark spirit, Mabel. Yes, let me omit nothing, however it may damage me in your eyes. Your eyes. I cannot remember a time when I did not think of love as a great, consuming passion. I visualize it, Mabel, as perhaps few have done, but always as an abounding joy that could come to others, but never to me. I expected too much of women. I suppose I was touched to finer issues than most. That has been my tragedy.
And then you met Joanna.
And then I met Joanna. Yes, foolishly, as I see now. I thought she would understand that I was far too deep in nature really to mean the little things that I sometimes said to her. I suppose a man was never placed in such a position before. What was I to do? Remember, I was always certain that no great love would come to me. Whatever the circumstances, I was a soul that would walk alone.
Joanna, how could you?
Not a word against her, Mabel. If blame there is, the blame is mine.
And so you married her?
So I married her.
Out of pity?
I felt it was a man's part. I was such a child in worldly matters that it felt pleasant to me to have the right to pay a woman's bills. I enjoyed seeing her garments lying about on my chairs. In time that exultation wore off, but I was not unhappy. I didn't expect much. Remember, I never thought that there would be a woman who could plumb the well of my emotions.
And then you met me.
And then I met you.
Too late. Never. Forever. Forever. Never. They are the saddest words in the English language.
At the time I thought a still sadder word was Joanna.
What was it you saw in me that made you love me?
I think it was the feeling that you and I are so alike.
You notice that too, Jack? Sometimes it has almost terrified me.
We think the same thoughts. We are not two, Mabel, we are one. Oh, your hair.
Joanna knows you admire it. For a week she did hers the same way.
I never noticed.
That was why she gave it up. And it didn't really suit her. I can't think of a good way of doing dear Joanna's hair. What are you muttering to yourself, Jack? Don't keep anything from me.
I was repeating a poem I've written. It is in 2 words. Mabel Purdy. May I teach it to you, sweet? Say Mabel Purdy to me.
Jack, if I were to say it, I would be false to Joanna. Never ask me to be that. Let us go on.
Say it, Mabel, say it. See, I write it on the ground.
If it could be. Jack, I'll whisper it to you.
She is whispering it as they wander, not 2, but 1, farther into the forest, ardently believing in themselves. They're not hypocrites. The somewhat bedraggled figure of Joanna follows them, and the nightingale resumes his love song. That's all you know, you bird, thinks Joanna cynically. The nightingale, however, is not singing for them, nor for her, but for another pair he has espied below. They are racing, the prize to be for the one who first finds the spot where the easel was put up last night. The hobbledehoy is sure to be the winner, for she is less laden, and the father loses time by singing as he comes. Also, she is all legs, and she started ahead. Brambles adhere to her, 1 boot has been in the water, and she has as many freckles as there are stars in heaven. She is as lovely as you think she is, and she is aged the moment when you like your daughter best. A hoot of triumph from her brings her father to the spot. He comes. This engaging fellow is Mr. Durth, ablaze in happiness and health, and a daughter.
I've won! I've found it! Here's the place! Crack in my eye, Tommy!
Yes, that is the tree I stuck my easel under last night. And behold the blessed moon, behaving more gorgeously than ever. Sorry to have kept you waiting, old moon. Now, sit still
while I hand you down to posterity.
The moon's looking rather pale tonight.
Yes, comes of keeping late hours.
Oh, Dad, listen. Please, sweet moon. A pleasant expression. No, not as if you were sitting at it. No, that's too professional. Much better. Thank you now. Keep it. That's the sort of thing you say to them, Dad.
I ought to have brought you out so late.
Oh.
You should be tucked up in your cozy bed. Moonlight is bad for daughters.
Well, I can't sleep when the moon's at the full. She keeps calling me to get up. Perhaps I'm her daughter, too.
How do you look at tonight?
Oh, then could you paint me into the picture as well as Mama? You could call it a mother and daughter, or simply two ladies, if the moon thinks that calling me her daughter would make her seem too old.
O matra filia pulchria filior, which means, O moon, more beautiful than any two-penny, half-penny daughter.
Do you really prefer her?
Shh, she's not a patch on you. It's the sort of thing we say to our sitters to keep them in good humor. To heavens, Margaret, we were not both so fond of apple tart. And what is this?
Well, it's a tear.
I should think it's a tear.
Well, that boy at the farm did it. He kept calling me snubs. But I got him down and I kicked him in the stomach. He is rather a jolly boy.
He sounds it. Ye gods, what a night!
And what a moon! Oh, Dad, she's not quite so fine as that.
Shh, I've touched her up a bit.
Oh, Dad, look what a funny man! Oh, I'm frightened. I think they want to take you away from me.
Who, Gosling?
Oh, I don't know. It's too lovely. I won't be able to keep hold of it.
What is?
The world, everything, and you, Dad, most of all. Things that are too beautiful can't last.
Now, how did you find that out?
I don't know. Dad, am I sometimes stranger than other people's daughters?
More of a madcap, perhaps.
Do you think I'm sometimes too full of gladness?
My sweetheart, you do sometimes run over with it.
To be very happy, dearest, yes. So near to being very sad.
How did you find that out, child?
I don't know. Something in me that's afraid. Dad, what's a might have been?
Might have been? Well, they are ghosts, Margaret. I dare say I might have been a great swell of a painter, except I'm just this uncommonly happy nobody. Then again, I might have been a worthless, idle waster of a fellow.
What, you?
Well, who knows? Hey, some little twist in me may have set me off on the wrong road. And that poor soul who I might so easily have been might have had no Margaret.
Oh, poor fellow, wandering about the world without me.
There are other might-have-beens. Intangible ones, but lovely. Shades, Margaret. Made of sad false thoughts.
I'm so glad I'm not a shade. Imagine how awful it would be to wake up and find out one wasn't alive.
It would, dear.
Wouldn't it be awful, Dad? I think men need daughters.
Oh, they do.
Especially artists.
Especially artists.
Fame isn't everything.
Fame is rot. Daughters are the thing.
Daughters are the thing!
Daughters are the thing!
I wonder if sons would be even nicer.
No, not a patch on daughters. No. The awful thing about a son is that never, at least from the time he goes to school, can you rather tell him you like him. No, by the time he's 10, you can't even sit him on your knee. Sons are not worth having. Signed, W. Durf.
But I dare say, if you were a mother, he'd let you do it.
Oh, you think so?
I mean, only when no one was looking. Sons are not so bad. Signed, M. Durf. But I'm glad you prefer daughters. At what age are we nicest? Hi, Daddy. At what age are we nicest? Daddy, at what age are we nicest?
Oh, that's a poser. I think you were nicest when you were 2 and knew your alphabet up to G, but fell over at H. No. Or just before you struck 3, or 6:30, or in the mumps year, when I asked you early in the morning how you were, and you said solemnly, I haven't tried yet.
Did I?
Such was your answer. But I'm not sure chicken pox doesn't beat the mumps. Oh no. No, I'm all wrong. No, the nicest time in a father's life is the year before she puts her hair up.
Oh. I dare say that is a splendid time, but there's a nicer year coming to you, Dad. There's a nicer year coming to you.
Yeah, do you think so?
The year she does put up her hair.
Oh, puts it up forever? Oh. But I'm afraid that by the time that comes, Margaret, I shan't be able to stand it. It'll be too exciting, my poor heart.
No, it's to be lucky you, for it isn't to be a bit like that. You see, I am to be a girl and a woman, say for about the first year, and you'll never know which until you look at my hair. But even then you won't know, for if it is down, I shall put it up, and if it is up, I shall put it down, and so my daddy will gradually get used to the idea.
I see you've been thinking it out.
I'll be doing more than that. Shut your eyes, Dad, and I shall give you a glimpse into the future.
I don't know that I want that. The present is so good.
Oh, well, shut your eyes, please.
No.
Oh, please, Dad.
All right. They are shut.
All right. I'm putting up my hair. Now, don't look until I tell you to open them. Putting up my hair now. Oh, I've got such a darling mirror. It's such a darling mirror I've got. No. Don't open your eyes. I will tell you about it. It's a little pool of water. I wish I could take it home and hang it up. You know, once my hair is up, there will be other changes too. For instance, I shall talk quite differently.
You're meaning to frighten me just then.
No, just prepare you. You see, darling, I can't call you Dad once my hair is up. I think I shall call you Father.
Oh,
oh Father, dear. Oh. Do you remember the distant days when your Margaret was a slip of a girl and sat on your knee? How foolish we were, Father, in those distant days.
Shut up, Margaret.
Now I must be more distant, like a boy who wouldn't sit on your knee anymore.
See here, I want to go on painting. Shall I look now?
I don't know if I want you to. It makes such a difference. Perhaps you won't know me. Even the pool is looking a little scared. What do you think? Will I do?
Let me look. Stand still. The Margaret that is to be.
You'll see me often enough like this, so you don't need to look all this time. You're looking as if this were to be the only time.
Surely it isn't to be that.
Oh, be happy, Dad. You'll be sick of your Margaret with her hair up before you're done with her.
I expect so.
Shut up, Dad. I'm sure you're thinking about what a handful she's going to be.
I certainly am.
And now... now you're thinking about my being in love someday.
Rot.
I won't, you know. No, I'm quite decided, so you don't need to be afraid. Would you hate them at first? Dad, would you hate them?
Whom?
No, if there was...
If there was what?
You know the sort of thing I mean quite well. Would you hate them?
No,
at first?
I should want to strangle them, I would think, but no, I wouldn't hate them.
I would. That is to say, if I liked them.
If you liked them, how could you hate them?
For daring.
For daring what?
You know. But, of course, I shall have no say in the matter. You will do everything for me. You do everything for me.
I can't help it.
You'll even write my love letters for me, if I have any to write, which I won't.
Surely, to goodness, Margaret, I will leave you alone to do that.
Not you. You will try to, but you won't be able.
Just, I want you see, to do everything exquisitely. I do wish I could leave you to do a little more for yourself. I suppose it's owing to my having to be father and mother both. I knew practically nothing about the bringing up of children, and of course I couldn't leave you to a nurse.
Not you. So sure you could do everything better yourself. That's you all over. Do you remember how you taught me how to balance a biscuit on my nose like a puppy?
Did I?
You called me Rover.
Oh, I deny that.
And when you said snap, I caught the biscuit in my mouth.
Oh, horrible.
Oh, I can do it still. Look, here's the last of my supper. Say snap.
Not I.
Go on.
I refuse.
Dad.
All right. Snap. Well, let that be the last time.
All right, except just once more. Oh. I don't mean now, but when my hair is really up. If I should have a Margaret of my own, come up and see me, Dad, in my hospital bed and say snap, and I'll have the biscuit ready.
Righto.
If I should get married, not that I will, but if I should, you will let me be the one who says I do?
I suppose I deserve this.
You think I'm pretty, Dad, don't you? Whatever other people say.
Not so bad.
I know I have nice ears.
Well, I'm glad you think so. I had to work on them for months.
You don't mean to say you did my ears?
Rather.
Oh, well, my dimple is my own,
Well,
I
I'm
think.
glad you think so. I wore out the tip of my little finger over that dimple.
Even my dimple, have I anything that's my own? A bit of my nose or something?
When you were a babe, you had a laugh. That was all your own.
Well, haven't I it now?
It's gone. And I'll tell you how it went. We were fishing in the stream. That is to say, I was wading in the water and you were on my shoulders, holding the rod. And we didn't catch anything, but somehow or another, and I can't think of how I did it, but you irritated me. And I answered you sharply.
Oh, I can't believe that.
I know, it sounds extraordinary, but I did. Somehow or another, it gave you a shock. And for the moment, the world no longer seemed a safe place for you. Your faith in me had made it safe until then. But all of a sudden, you were no longer sure of your bread and butter anymore. And a frightened tear came to your eye. I was in a nice state about it, I can tell you.
Silly. But what has this to do with my laugh?
Well, the laugh that children are born with lasts just so long as they have perfect faith. To think it was I who robbed you of yours.
Darling, I'm sure the laugh just went off with the tear to comfort it, and they've been playing about that stream ever since. They've quite forgotten us, so why should we remember them? Ha! Cheeky little beasts. Shall I tell you my farthest back recollection? It was the first time I saw the stars. I'd never seen the night, and then I saw it and the stars together. Crack in my eye told me there's not many who can boast of such a lovely, lovely recollection as their earliest, is it?
I was determined your earliest should be a good one.
Do you mean to say you planned it?
Rather. Well, most people's earliest recollection is of some trivial thing, of how they cut their finger or lost a piece of string. I was determined that my Margaret should be a good one. Now, I was poor, but I could give you the stars.
How you love me, Daddykins.
Yes, I do rather.
A vagrant woman has wandered in their direction, one whom the shrill winds of life have lashed and bled. Here and there ragged graces still cling to her, and unruly passion smoulders, but she, once a dear, fierce rebel with eyes of storm, is now, first of all, a whimperer. She and they meet as strangers.
Good evening. Oh, evening, Miss Izzy. Evening, mister.
Lost anything?
Oh, sometimes when the tourists have finished with their sandwiches, there are bits left over. You know, they tuck them down between the roots to keep the place tidy, but I'm looking for bits.
You don't tell me you're as hungry as that.
Try me.
Oh, Dad, that was my last biscuit.
And then we shall think of something else.
Yes, wait a bit. We're sure to think of something. Dad, think of something.
No, your father doesn't want you to touch the likes of me.
Yes, he does. And even if he didn't, I'd do it all the same.
sense of it of myself, Dad.
That is all you know.
You needn't be angry with her, mister. I'm all right.
I'm not angry with her. I feel very sorry for you.
Oh, if I had my rights, I'd be as good as you.
I dare
and
say.
better. You know, I've had men servants and a motor car.
Never rose to that.
Well, I've been in a taxi several times, and Dad often gets telegrams.
Margaret.
I'm sorry I boasted. Well, that's nothing. I have a townhouse. At least I had. At any rate, he said there was a townhouse.
Fancy his not knowing for certain.
Yeah, well, the Honourable Mrs. Finch-Fallow, that's who I am.
Oh, it's a lovely name.
Well, curse him.
Don't you like him?
We won't go into that. Now, we have nothing to do with your past, but I wish we had some food to offer you.
You haven't a flask, eh?
No, I don't take anything myself. Let me see.
Oh, I know. You said we had £5. Would you like £5?
Darling, don't be stupid. We haven't paid our bill at the inn.
All right. You know, I never asked you for anything.
Don't take me up in that way. Now, I've had my ups and downs myself.
Oh,
now, here's 10 bob. And welcome.
And I have half a crown. Quite easy for us. We'll be getting another fiver any day now. You can't think how exciting it is when the fiver comes in. We dance, and then we run out and buy chops.
Margaret.
Well, it's kind of you. I'm richer this minute than I have been for many a day.
Think nothing of it. I'm sure you'd do the same for us.
I wish I was as sure.
Of course you would. Now, hurry along and get some victuals as quickly as possible. Best of wishes, and may your luck change.
Huh. Yeah, same to you. And may yours go on.
Good night.
Mister, what's her name?
Margaret.
Margaret. You drew something good out of the lucky bag the day you got her, mister.
Yes.
Take care of her. They are easily lost.
Poor soul. I expect that she has had a rough time of it. And that some man is to blame. At least partly, at any rate. That woman rather affects me, Margaret, and I don't know why. Didn't you like her husky voice? I say, Margaret, let's swear always to be kind to those who are down on their luck. And then when we are kind, let's be a little kinder.
Yes, let's.
Always feel sorry for the failures, Margaret. Those who are always failures, especially in my calling. Wouldn't it be marvelous to turn them on their 39th year of failure into glittering successes?
Splendid.
Splendid.
Yes, splendid. But how would we do it?
By letter. To poor old Tom Brokenheart, Garrett's Chambers, Southeast, top attic. Dear sir, His Majesty has been graciously pleased to purchase your superb picture of Marlow Ferry.
P.S. I am sending you the money in a sack so you can hear it clink.
What could we do for our friend who passed just now? I can't get her out of my head.
You've made me forget her. Dad, I didn't like it.
Didn't like what?
What she said about your losing me.
I shan't lose you.
It would be hard for me if you lost me, but it would be worse for you. I don't know how I know that, but I do know it. What would you do without me?
Don't talk like that, darling. It's wicked and stupid and naughty. Somehow that poor woman... I won't paint any more tonight.
Let's get out of the wood. It frightens me.
You loved it a moment ago. Hello. I hadn't noticed there was a house there before.
I feel certain there wasn't a house there.
Oh, goose. just that we hadn't looked. Our way of letting the world go hang, so interested in ourselves. Fine talk for two people who were just boasting about what they would do for others. Well, now I see what I ought to do.
Let's get out of the wood.
Yes, no, but my idea first is to rouse these people and get some food from them. For the husky one.
She's too far away now.
I can overtake her.
Oh, Dad, don't go in that house. I don't know why, but I'm afraid of that house.
No, here's a kiss. For every moment until I return.
No.
Oh, who's got a nasty temper? Oh, naughty. Oh, go stand in the corner. I shall be back before you can count to 100.
Dad, come back. I don't want to be a might have been.
Lob's room has gone very dark as it sits up awaiting the possible return of the adventurers. The curtains are drawn so that no light comes from outside. There is a tapping on the window, and anon 2 intruders are stealing about the floor, with muffled cries when they meet unexpectedly. They find the switch and are revealed as Purdy and his Mabel. Something has happened to them as they emerged from the wood, but it is so superficial that neither notices it. They are again in the evening dress in which they had left the house, but they are still being led by that strange humour of the blood.
Pretty little room. I wonder who's the owner.
It doesn't matter. The great thing is that we have escaped Joanna.
Jack, look, a man.
The term may not be happily chosen, but the person indicated is Lob, curled on his chair by a dead fire. The last look on his face before he fell asleep having been a leery one, it is still there.
He's asleep.
Do you know him?
Not I. Excuse me, sir. Hi.
Darling, how extraordinary.
After all, precious, have we any right to wake up a stranger just to tell him that we are runaways hiding in his house?
I think he would expect it of us.
There is no budging him.
At any rate, we have done the civil thing.
She has now time to regard the room more attentively, including the tray of coffee cups which Matey had left on the table in a not unimportant moment of his history.
There have evidently been people here, but they haven't drunk their coffee. Ugh, cold as a deserted egg in a bird's nest. Jack, if you were a clever detective, you could construct these people out of their neglected coffee cups. I wonder who they are and what has spirited them away.
Perhaps they have only gone to bed. Ought we to wake them up?
I think not, dear. I suppose we have run away, Jack. Meaning to?
Irrevocably. Mabel, if the dog-like devotion of a lifetime... He's not shamming, do you think?
Shake him again.
It's all right. Mabel, if the dog-like devotion of a lifetime...
Poor little Joanna. Still, if a woman insists on being a pendulum round a man's neck...
Do give me a chance, Mabel. If the dog-like devotion of a lifetime...
Joanna comes through the curtain so inopportunely that for the moment he is almost pettish.
May I say, this is just a little too much, Joanna.
So, sweet husband, your soul is still walking alone, is it?
How can you speak about in this way, Joanna? Have you no pride?
Please to address me as Mrs. Purdy, madam. Who is this man?
We don't know, and there is no waking him. You can try if you like.
Failing to rouse Lob, Joanna makes a third at table. They are all a little inconsequential. as if there was still some moonshine in their hair.
You were saying something about the devotion of a lifetime. Please go on.
I don't like to before you, Joanna.
No, don't mind me.
I should certainly like to say it.
And I shall be proud to hear it.
I should have liked to spare you this, Joanna. You wouldn't put your hands over your ears.
No, sir.
Fie, Joanna. Surely a wife's natural delicacy...
As you take it in that spirit, Joanna, I can proceed with a clear conscience. If the dog-like devotion of a lifetime...
Did he move?
It isn't that. I'm feeling very funny. Did one of you just tap me on the forehead?
I think I've been in this room before.
There is something coming rushing back to me.
I seem to know that coffee set. If I do, the lid of the milk jug is chipped. It is...
I can't remember this man's name, but I am sure it begins with an L.
Lob.
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 Mabel, your dress.
How on earth?
My dress? You were in knickerbockers in the wood.
And so I am now. Oh, where did I change? The wood, let me think. The wood. The wood, certainly, but the wood wasn't the wood.
Oh, my head is going round.
Lob's wood. I remember it all. We were here. We did go.
So we did. But how could... Where was...
And who was?
And what was?
Don't let go. Hold on to what we were doing or we shall lose grip of ourselves. Devotion. Something about devotion. Hold on to devotion. If the dog-like devotion of a lifetime... Which of you was I saying that to?
Me.
Are you sure?
I am not quite sure.
Joanna, what do you think? Which of you is my wife?
I am. No, I'm not. It's Mabel who is your wife.
Me?
Of course you are, Mabel.
I believe I am.
And yet how can it be? I was running away with you.
You don't need to do it now.
Wood. Hold on to the wood. The wood is what explains it. Yes. Yes, I see the whole thing, you infernal old rascal. Let us try to think it out. Don't anyone speak for a moment. Think first. Love. Hold on to love. I say, I believe I'm not a deeply passionate chap at all. I believe I'm just a philanderer.
It is what you are.
Mabel, what about ourselves?
I didn't know. Just a philanderer. And if people don't change, I suppose we shall begin all over again now.
I dare say, but not with each other. I may philander again, but not with you.
They look on themselves without approval, always a sorry occupation. The man feels it most because he has admired himself most, or perhaps partly for some better reason.
John Purdy. John Purdy, the fine fellow I used to think you. The wood has taught me one thing at any rate.
What, Jack?
That it isn't accident that shapes our lives.
No, it's fate.
It's not fate, Joanna. Fate is something outside us. What really plays the dickens with us is something in ourselves, something that makes us go on doing the same sorts of fool things, however many chances we get.
Something in ourselves?
Something we are born with.
Can't we cut out the beastly thing?
Depends, I expect, on how long we have pampered him. We can at least control him if we try hard enough, but I have, for the moment, an abominably clear perception that the likes of me never really tries. Forgive me, Joanna. No, Mabel. Both of you. It isn't very pleasant to discover that one is a rotter. I suppose I shall get used to it.
I could forgive anybody anything tonight. It is so lovely, Jack, not to be married to you.
I can understand that. I do feel small.
You will soon swell up again.
That is the appalling thing. But at present, at any rate, I am a rag at your feet, Joanna. No, at yours, Mabel. Are you going to pick me up? Don't advise it.
I don't know whether I want to, Jack. To begin with, which of us is it your lonely soul is in search of? Are you and I one? Or are you and Joanna one? Or are the three of us two?
He wants you to whisper in his ear, Mabel, that entrancing poem, Mabel Purdy. Do it, Jack. There's nothing wrong with it now.
Rub it in.
When I meet Joanna's successor...
No, no, Mabel, none of that. At least credit me with having my eyes open at last. There will be no more of this. I swear by all that is holy.
Off at it again.
Oh, Lord, so I am.
Don't, Joanna.
She is quite right. I was. In my present state of depression, which won't last, I feel there is something in me that will make me go on being the same arse, however many chances I get. I haven't the stuff in me to take warning. My whole being is corroded. Shakespeare knew what he was talking about. The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves that we are underlings.
For dear Brutus, we're supposed to read dear audience, I suppose?
You have it.
Meaning that we have the power to shape ourselves.
We have the power, right enough.
But isn't that rather splendid?
For those who have the grit in them, yes. And they are not the dismal chappies. They are the ones with the thin, bright faces. I'm afraid there is not much fight in me, Mabel, but we shall see. If you happen to catch me at it again, have the goodness to whisper to me in passing, Lob's Wood. That may save me for the time being.
Perhaps I will. For as long as I care to bother, Jack. It is up to you how long that is to be.
I feel that there is hope in that as well as a warning. Perhaps the wood may prove to have been some use after all. No, we are not people worth being sorrowful about. So let us laugh. You have forgotten the others. Oh, I wonder what is happening to them.
Yes, what about them? Have they changed?
I didn't see any of them in the wood.
Perhaps we did see them without knowing them. We didn't know Lob.
That's true.
Won't it be delicious to be here and watch them come back and see them waking up? Or whatever it is we did.
What was it we did? I think something tapped me on the forehead.
How do we know the others will come back?
We don't know. Oh, how awful.
Listen.
I distinctly hear someone on the stairs.
It will be Matey.
Be cautious, both of you. Don't tell him we have had any odd experiences.
It is, however, Mrs. Code, who comes downstairs in a nightgown and carrying her husband's muffler.
So you're back at last. Fine house, I must say. Where's Cody?
Cody? Did he go into the wood too?
I suppose so. I've been down several times to look for him.
Cody too.
I wonder... Oh, how dreadful.
What's dreadful, Joanna?
Nothing. I was just wondering what he was doing.
Doing? What should he be doing? Did anything odd happen to you in the wood?
No, nothing.
We just strolled about and came back. Have you noticed him?
Yes, he's been like that all the time. Sort of a stupor, I think. And sometimes the strangest grin comes over his face.
Grin?
Yes, just exactly as if he were seeing something amusing in his sleep.
I dare say he is. Oughtn't we to get Matey to him?
Oh, Matey's gone too.
What?
But at least he's not in the house.
Matey? I wonder who is with him.
Must someone be with him?
No, not at all.
They are simultaneously aware that someone outside has reached the window.
Oh, I do hope it's Cody.
Oh, I hope not.
Why not, Mrs. Purdy?
Dear Mrs. Code, whoever he is and whatever he does, I beg you not to be surprised. We feel that though we had no unusual experiences in the wood, others may not have been so fortunate. And be cautious, you dear, what you say to them before they come to.
Come to? You puzzle me. And Cody didn't have his muffler.
Let it be recorded that in their distress for this old lady, they forget their own misadventures. Purdy takes a step towards the curtains in a vague desire to shield her and gets a rich reward. He has seen the coming addition to their circle.
It is matey.
The butler intrudes, who still thinks he is wrapped in fur.
With apologies, ladies and gents, may I ask who is host?
A very reasonable request. Third on the left.
Merely to ask, sir, if you can direct me to my hotel.
The sleeper's only response is a slight quiver in one eyebrow.
The gentleman seems to be reposed.
It is Lob.
What is Lob, ma'am?
Oh, surely you haven't forgotten.
Anything we can do for you, sir. Just give it a name.
I hope you are not alone. Do say you have some lady friends with you.
My wife is with me.
His wife? You have been quick.
I didn't know you were married.
Why should you, madam? You talk as if you knew me.
Oh, do you really think I don't?
Sit down, won't you mind, dear sir, and make yourself comfy.
Oh, thank you. But my wife...
Yes, bring her in. We are simply dying to make her acquaintance.
You are very good. I am much obliged.
Who can she be?
Who? What an extraordinary wood. He doesn't seem to know who he is at all.
Don't worry about that, Cody, darling. He will know soon enough.
And so will the little wife. By the way, whoever she is, I hope she's fond of butlers.
It is Lady Caroline.
Oh, joy! And she was so sure she couldn't take the wrong turning.
Lady Caroline is evidently still sure of it.
May I present my wife, Lady Caroline Matey.
How do you do?
Your servant, Lady Caroline.
Lady Caroline Matey, you?
Charmed, I'm sure.
Very pleased to meet any wife of Mr. Matey.
Allow me, the Duchess of Candelabra, the ladies Helena and Matilda Nab. I am the Lord Chancellor.
I have wanted so long to make your acquaintance.
Oh, charmed.
These informal meetings are so delightful, don't you think?
Yes, indeed.
And your friend by the fire?
I will introduce you to him when you wake up. I mean when he wakes up.
Perhaps I ought to have said that I am Matey. James Matey?
The James Matey.
A name not perhaps unknown in a world of finance.
Finance? Oh, so you did take that clerkship in the city?
I began as a clerk in the city, certainly, and I am not ashamed to admit it.
Well, fancy that now. And did it save you?
Save me, madam.
Excuse us, we ask odd questions in this house. We only mean, did that keep you honest? Or are you still a pilferer?
Husband mine, what does she mean?
No offense, I mean a pilferer on a large scale.
If you are referring to that Labrador business or the Working Woman's Bank.
I've got him.
Yes, those are what I meant.
There was nothing proved.
Mabel, Jack, here is another of us. You have gone just the same way again, my friend. There's more in it, you see, than taking the wrong turning. You would always take the wrong turning.
If you are casting aspersions upon my husband, allow me to say that a prouder wife than I does not today exist.
My dear, do be careful.
So long as you are satisfied, Lady Caroline, but I thought you shrank from all blood that was not blue.
You thought? Why would you think anything about me? I beg to assure you that I love my Jim.
She seeks his arm, but her Jim has encountered the tray containing coffee cups and a cake, and his hands close on it with a certain intimacy.
Whatever are you doing, Jim?
I don't understand it, Caroline, but somehow I feel at home with this in my hands.
Caroline!
Do you really mean that you don't know me now? Do think.
I don't know you, but I seem to associate you with hard-boiled eggs. You like your eggs hard-boiled.
Yes, hold on to hard-boiled eggs. She used to tip you, especially to see them. Oh, yes, that was the pocket.
Tip?
Tip?
Jolly word, isn't it?
It seems to set me thinking.
Why is my work basket in this house?
Oh, you have been living here, you know.
Well, that is what a person feels, but when did I come? And it's very old, but one feels one ought to say, when did one go?
Oh, she is coming too, with a wash.
Mr. Barrie.
Mrs. Code.
What? The gunner. What are my clothes?
What is an evening dress?
You will understand clearly in a minute, Caroline. You didn't really take that clerkship, Jim. You went into domestic service. But in the essentials, you haven't altered.
I'll have my shaving water at 7:30 sharp, matey.
Very good, sir.
Sir? Midsummer Eve. The woods.
Yes, hold on to the wood.
You are Lady Caroline Lady.
It's Matey, the butler.
You seemed quite happy with him, you know, Lady Caroline. We won't tell.
Caroline Matey? And I seem to like it. Oh, how horrible.
It is difficult to say what we ought to do next.
Perhaps if I were to go downstairs?
It would be conferring a personal favor on us all.
Thus encouraged, Matey and his tray resume friendly relations with the pantry.
It is all this what's-his doing.
A quiver from Lob's eyebrow acknowledges the compliment. The gay music of a pipe is heard from outside.
Cody! Cody! Why is he so happy? Won't he know me?
Mrs. Code, I'm sorry. It didn't so much matter about the likes of us, but for your sake, I wish Cody hadn't gone out.
We that have been happily married this 30 years. May I intrude? My name is Code. The fact is, I was playing about in the wood on a whistle, and I saw your light. Playing about in the wood with a whistle? And why not, madam? Madam, don't you know me? I don't know you, but I wish I did. You do? Why? Well, if I may say so, you have a soft, lovable face. Who was with you playing whistles in the wood? No one was with me. No lady? Oh, certainly not. I am a bachelor. A bachelor?
Don't give way, dear. It might be much worse.
Bachelor? Do you mean that you have never spoken to me at all? Do think. Not to my knowledge. Never. Except in dreams.
What did you say to her in dreams?
Oh, I said, my dear. Odd. How could you say such things to an old woman? Old? I don't think of you as old. No, no. Young. With morning dew on your face. Crossing a lawn in a green and black dress and carrying the prettiest parasol.
That is how we first met. He used to love me in black and green, and it was a pretty parasol. But look, I'm old, so it can't be the same woman.
Old? Yes, I suppose so, but it is the same. Lovable face. And that gentle, kind smile that children could warm their hands at.
He always liked my smile.
So do we all.
Emma.
Oh, he hasn't forgotten my name.
Oh, it is sad that we didn't meet long ago. I think I've been waiting for you. I suppose we've met together too late. You couldn't overlook my being an old fellow now, could you?
Oh, lovely. He's going to propose to her again. Oh, Cody, you happy thing. He's wanted the same soft face after 30 years.
Well, we mustn't be too sure, but I think that is it. Mr. Kirkby, what exactly is it that you want?
I want the right to hold the parasol over you. Oh, won't you be my wife, my dear, and end the long dream I have been having of you?
Well, kisses are not right for our age, but here is a muffler for your own neck.
Oh, my muffler. Oh, I have missed it. Wait. What? Why? Why? How is this?
He's coming too.
No. Oh, bless me, Cody. I went into that wood.
And without your muffler, you that have been so susceptible to chills, oh, what are you looking for in your pocket?
The whistle. It is a whistle. Go on. Of course it is. It's rather a pity, but... Oh, have I been saying awful things to you?
You have been making her so proud. It is a compliment to our whole sex. You had a second chance. It is her. Again.
Of course it is. But I see I was the same old lazy Cody as before. And I had thought that if I had a second chance, I could do things. Oh, I've often said to you, Cody, that it was owing to my competency that I couldn't do anything. And I didn't write my great book. But I had no competency this time, and I still haven't written a word.
That needn't make you feel lonely in this house.
Think what it means is that you don't especially need even me here. I think it may mean that you are just the sort of amiable creature who would be happy anywhere and anyhow.
Dear, can it be as bad as that?
Certainly not. It is a romance, and I won't have it looked upon as anything else.
Oh, thank you, Joanna. You will try not to miss that whistle, Cody.
You are all I need.
Yes, I know. I'm not as certain as I once was that that's a really great compliment.
There is a knock on the window.
Mrs. Dearth. She's alone. Who would have expected that of her?
She is a wild one, Jack. But I sometimes thought rather a dear. I do hope she has got off cheaply.
Pleased to see you, stranger.
I was afraid I might startle you. Such an unceremonious entry.
Not a bit.
I usually enter a house by the front door.
I have heard that such is the swagger way.
So stupid of me. I got lost in the wood and...
Of course you did. But never mind that. Do tell us who you are.
Yes, your name.
Oh, of course. I am the Honourable Mrs. Finch-Fallow.
Of course, of course.
I hope Mr. Finch-Fallow is very well. We don't know him personally, but may we have the pleasure of seeing him bob up presently?
No, I'm not sure where he is.
I wonder if the dear, clever police know.
No, they don't.
It is a very secondary matter to her. This woman of calamitous fires hears and sees her tormentors chiefly as the probable owner of the cake which is standing on that tray.
So awkward. I gave my sandwiches to a poor girl I met in the wood, and her father, and now it is a nuisance. I am rather hungry. May I? Yeah?
Without waiting for consent, she falls to upon the cake, looking over it like one ready to fight them for it.
Or so.
We are all so anxious to know whether you met a friend of ours in the wood, a Mr. Durf. Perhaps you know him, too.
Durf? No, I don't know any Durf.
Oh my, what a wood.
He is quite a front door sort of man. Knocks and wings, you know.
Don't worry her.
I meet so many, you see. I go out a great deal. I have visiting cards, printed ones.
Oh, how distinguished. Perhaps Mr. Durf has painted your portrait. He is an artist.
Very likely. They all want to paint me. I dare say that's the man to whom I gave my sandwiches.
Oh, didn't you say he had a daughter?
Oh, such a pretty girl. I gave her half a crown.
A daughter? That can't be that.
Sure. Was the man you speak of a rather chop-fallen, gone to seed sort of person?
No. No, I thought him sort of a jolly, attractive man.
Jolly? Attractive? Oh, no. Did he say anything about his wife?
Yes. Do try to remember if he mentioned her.
No, he didn't.
He was far from jolly in her time.
Perhaps that was the lady's fault.
The last of the adventurers draws nigh, carolling a French song as he comes.
Durf's voice. He sounds quite merry.
Alice, you poor thing.
This is going to be horrible.
A clear-eyed man of lusty gait comes in.
I'm sorry to bounce in on you in this way, but really I have an excuse. I am a painter of sorts.
I'm so happy to see you looking so well, Mr. Durf. It's like a new man, isn't it?
Well, I'm certainly very well, if you care to know, but I'm sorry, did I tell you my name?
No, but we have an instinct in this house.
Well, it doesn't matter. Here's the situation. My daughter and I have just met in the wood, a poor woman, famishing for want of food. We were happy as grigs ourselves, and the sight of her distress rather cut us up. Can you give me something for her? Why are you looking so startled? Oh, may I have this?
A shrinking movement from one of them draws his attention, and he recognizes in her the woman of whom he has been speaking. He sees her in fine clothing, and he grows stern.
Well, I feel I can't be mistaken. It was you who I met in the wood. Well, have you been playing some sort of trick on me? It was for her that I wanted the food.
Have you come to take back the money you gave me?
Well, your dress. You were almost in rags when I saw you outside.
I don't understand.
For that matter, Durf, I dare say you were different in the wood, too.
What?
Where am I? No, I seem to know you. Do I?
Yes, you do. Just hold my hand and you will understand everything as you go along.
I'm afraid, Mr. Durf, it is harder for you than it is for the rest of us.
I wish I could help you, but I can't. I am a rotter.
We are awfully sorry.
Don't you remember? Midsummer Eve.
Midsummer Eve? This room? Yes, this room. Was it you? You were looking for something. The Tree of Knowledge, wasn't it? Somebody wanted me to go, too. Who was it? A lady, I think. Why did she ask me to go? Well, what was I doing here? Oh, I was smoking a cigar. Yes, I laid it down there. When who was that lady?
Something about a second chance.
Yes, dear, and you were so sure you could make so much of it.
A lady who didn't like me. And she had good reasons too, but what were they?
A queer little fellow. He did it. What did he do?
Oh, it's coming back to me now. I am not the man I thought myself.
I am not Mrs. Finch Fallow. Who am I?
You were that lady.
It is you. My husband.
Yes, dear, and I must say that, as far as I can see, you are much better off than if you were Mrs. Finch Fallow.
Yes. Yes, indeed. But he isn't.
Alice, I didn't know you when I was in the wood with Margaret. Margaret. Oh, God.
Oh, Will, I wish. Oh, I wish.
Alice presses his shoulder fiercely and then stalks out by the door.
You old ruffian.
No. I'm rather fond of him. Our lonely, friendly little host. Lob, I thank thee for that hour.
The seedy-looking fellow passes from the scene.
Did you see that his hand is shaking again?
The watery eye has come back.
And yet they are both quite nice people.
We are all quite nice people.
If she were not such a savage.
I dare say there is nothing the matter with her except that she would always choose the wrong man. Good man, bad man, but the wrong man for her.
We can't change.
Jack says the brave ones can.
The ones with the thin, bright faces.
Then there is hope for us, Jack.
I don't expect so.
Hadn't we better go to bed? It must be getting late.
Hold on to bed.
Breakfast is quite ready.
Oh, my watch has stopped.
Oh, and mine. Just as well, perhaps.
There is a smell of coffee.
Come along, Cody. I do hope your foot is not troubling you too much. I will give it a good rest tomorrow.
I have given your egg 6 minutes, ma'am.
They set forth once more upon the eternal round. The curious Joanna remains behind.
A strange experiment, matey. Does it ever have any permanent effect?
So far as I know, not often, miss. But I believe once in a while.
There is hope in this for the brave ones. If we could wait long enough, we might see the Dearths daring their way into the light.
He could tell you.
The elusive person thus referred to snickers responsibly, meaning perhaps that none of the others will change till there is a tap from another hammer.
But when Matey goes to rout him from his chair, he is no longer there. His disappearance is no shock to Matey, who shrugs his shoulders and opens the windows to let in the glory of a summer morning. The garden has returned, and our queer little hero is busy at work among his flowers. A lark is rising. The end.